What up, Keith? Yo, we talking about it today, man. It's gonna get real in the field, bro. The global effects of feminism. Yep. What up, Scorpio? Good morning. We are live everywhere. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Twitter. Yeah. Apple cider vinegar on deck, ready to go. I'll drink that like an hour into the show, yo. An hour into the show. What up, Neil? Yep. Make sure y'all are hitting the like button like you're playing a video game, sharing the lives. What up, Marley? Again, make sure y'all are hitting the like button like it's a video game and sharing the live. What up, back to Basics Boutique? This is going to be a different conversation than we normally have. I mean, to some degree, you know what I mean? Show will be starting at 9:05, by the way. So if y'all need to run and do something, y'all got like 2 minutes. 2 minutes to do whatever y'all need to do before we get started. I'm still kind of setting up a little bit. I'm still setting up just a little bit. There we go. Y'all see that? I'm still setting up a little bit. Let me do this though. Let me bring this just a little bit. Yeah. What up, Demon? What up, Mom Star? What's up, y'all? I see y'all coming in. Listen, we got 1 minute before the show starts. It is 9:04. Yeah. Shout out.
Brothers and sisters.
Yeah. To my
Brothers and sisters.
What up, Clicko? Show is starting in 20 seconds. I believe it's 20 seconds. I don't know. What up, Angelina? Yeah. She said eyes. What up, Lady Dre? Yeah. He said out here thriving. Yo. What up, everybody? Make sure y'all are saying hello to somebody. Not just me. Speak into the room. Letitia. What up, Andrea? What's happening? I see y'all over there on my YouTube channel. For those of you who are live and new to the live, listen. What up, Real Marq? Singing. See, he's a singing fool. He's gonna be next star, man. Y'all pay attention to Real Marq. I need you all to share the live, hit the like button, and prepare to to appreciate my time in some way, shape, or form, whether it's gifts or cash apps or any of that kind of stuff. Make sure y'all are on point. Today we have a real conversation that I think is really needed, just to kind of put things out there. I said it's strong enough for a man, but it's made for women. I think it's both. I think it's strong enough for women, but it's made for men, because that is the crux of this whole thing that we're talking about today. It is Monday, December 12th, 9:06 in the morning. There's 51 degrees here in Atlanta. Why don't y'all type y'all city and state, right, so I just know who I'm talking to today. City and state. Let's do a city and state check-in for me real quick, you know what I'm saying, before we jump all the way in, before we dive all the way in. Can you guys give me your city and state? This is, you know what, let me just put it to y'all like this here. Y'all know where y'all at, right?
Have a bite to eat with me, Dwight Scrap Reynolds.
Tavares, Florida in the house. I see you. City and state, welcome to Bite to Eat podcast. We got Cincinnati, Ohio in the building, Charlotte, North Carolina in the building, Detroit, Michigan, what up, though, in the building, Newport News, VA in the house. What up, Sharice? Brooklyn, in my Biggie voice. Yeah, Clicko, I see you. Instagram, where y'all at, man? Instagram, city and state, talk to me. What up, Lady Kiki? Instagram be so hard for them to participate properly. New York in the building. I see you. New York. Working in Carroll Stream, Illinois. All right. What up, Upper Scale? Yeah, Jersey in the building, Philly in the building. Philly did their thing yesterday, man. Oh man, I watched the game. I loved it. Deerfield in the building, Columbus, Georgia. You're just down the road. I see you. 85 South. Yeah. ATL, what's happening, Shawty? You know what I'm talking about? On everything I love. You know what I'm talking about? Atlanta in the building. I'm with you. I'm in the A2, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's 51 degrees with a high of 59 today, man. You can't be mad at that. You know what I'm saying? Y'all be careful out there, man. The flu is going around, and it's a little upgraded version. It's not too bad, but it's the runny nose thing, right? Anybody who's caught it already, it's like, you know, like it's going to be hard on you in terms of, you know, just runny nose and whatnot. We know that leads to bad sleep sometime because of the drainage. So y'all be mindful of that, man. Y'all take care of yourselves. And speaking of, if y'all have not tried the apple cider vinegar drink, I got videos posted on or whatnot, but you create it at home yourself. 8 ounces of water, 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar, 1 freshly squeezed lemon, which comes out to about 4 to 5 ounces of lemon juice, and then honey to taste. Yeah, they did their thing. Yeah, Scale God, no doubt. 49ers did. I mean, they just shook Tom Brady up yesterday. That was crazy. Took 2 weeks. It's a different strain. Yeah, absolutely sweet. You know, it's the mucus creating ability of it is the bigger part, right? That's the biggest part of that new strain of a flu that they have out there. Especially if you're a person who, you know, you get over it rather, you know, like I said, it's the uncomfortability of all that mucus is what it is. Blowing your nose a lot and, you know what I mean, having to spit up a lot. So, you know, that's what it is. But with that in mind, it's about that time, y'all. It is 9:09. I think I like to do things in even numbers. So when this clock strikes 9:10, I just want to talk to y'all. What up, Just Alice? Gotta give a shout out to my Eagles. Yeah, they did their thing, man. That was a good game. I mean, I like watching Philly play, man. I became a fan of Philly when Mike Vick went to Philly. You know what I'm saying? It was a bunch of good games the other day, though. I came from Detroit did their thing, and I'm, you know, that 1-6 start from Detroit just had me depressed. It was like, oh no, not this again. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, y'all got a chance to do something fun and interesting this weekend. I went to a birthday party. It was really cool. A Trini birthday party. It was really cool. I did a lot of dancing. I don't know if y'all know I can dance. I don't know if y'all know I can bust a move. Like, I ain't no joke on the dance floor. You know what I'm saying? I think I surprised some people or whatnot. But yeah, I ain't nothing to play with when it comes to them dance moves. I cut a rug. I do my thing. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody here in the live. You know what I'm saying? For the past 2 years, I have not been sick. Feel confident with ACV. That's right. Keep it up, Pearl. So check this out, y'all. Yeah, I had what up, De Silva? So I was at De Silva's mom's birthday party, man. I cut a rug. She ain't know I could dance. I'm like, girl, you better stop. I got skills, you know what I'm saying? I know she was like, dang. Yeah, Barry Sanders did it how you should do it. He controlled his destiny. Barry Sanders, if y'all have not watched any highlight reels from Barry Sanders, y'all should go check it out. Barry Sanders cut the fool for Detroit, and that's when Detroit was the best it's ever been. But that's not what we on today. I do like to give y'all a couple little updates and things like that. I think it's important that we do that. You know what I mean? What up, Lawrence? So let me get my paper ready. Y'all know how y'all can be distracting sometimes when y'all be conversing with me via text. I be wanting to make sure I entertain your comments and stuff. And man, y'all know the struggle bus be trying to remember what the hell I was talking about. That's funny, Keith. That's a good one. I'm not even gonna repeat it. It's that funny. How about that? So listen, man. I think one of the things that brought me to this conversation is I just realized, you know, I'm a person who likes to think about solutions. I'm a person who thinks about the problem and the solution, right? So when we talk about the global effects of feminism, if we don't look at that and start examining it, because it's been around long enough for us now to kind of understand better those effects, you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna give y'all an opportunity to participate today, man. Type in the chat if y'all type in the chat how y'all feel about the feminist movement. do you think it's helped or hurt us as a society? Has the feminist movement helped or hurt us? And I'm asking you guys because I want to know where how you feel about it, because like, again, we all are affected by it. Whether you think you are or not, we are absolutely as a society affected by it. And I think it's breeded other contexts that we're dealing with as well. You know what I mean? Yeah, man, it's good to let people know you're listening. Thanks, you're real. I appreciate that. Yeah, man. It's important that, the biggest part about this podcast, about the Bite to Eat podcast, you know what I'm saying, is our engagement. I love reading your comments, and I like to keep you guys involved in the conversation. So how do y'all feel as a collective? What do you think about the feminist movement? I'm sure everybody knows what it is. At least I hope everybody knows what it is. I think it's important that we engage on that level. What? So what it says here, I'm gonna give you what it says in Wikipedia. The feminist movement, also known as the women's movement or feminism, refers to a series of social movements and political campaigns for radical and liberal reforms on women's issues created by the inequality between men and women. You know what I mean? I'll give y'all some examples. Women's liberation, reproductive rights, domestic violence, maternity leave, equal pay, women's suffrage, sexual harassment, and sexual violence. Talk to me, y'all. Now that y'all know what it is, I mean, the feminist movement has effectively pitted men versus women like some day. All right. Depends, man. Only when it affects how she is engaging with her significant other at home. Wow. Ladies, I hope y'all are paying attention to this, because there's a clip. Do I have that clip ready? Let me think. How can I get to this clip? There's a clip. It's funny because I hadn't even associated the clip with this conversation, but it's a Kevin Samuels clip, and I'll paraphrase. He just basically is saying, does your man, is he excited about coming home from work? You know what I'm saying? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, women, I know if y'all have been in relationships that sometimes you wonder why your man sits in the car a little bit longer before he comes in the house. All this has to do with the feminist movement, and it's no fault of your own. I really want to say that the progression of the womenist feminist movement is more it's more about the way men have handled it, and also how women have championed it. You know what I'm saying? It's twofold, but we have a responsibility into it as well. Scale Guy says sometimes it causes a power struggle. Yep. Lauren said the feminist movement was needed. Man, I'd love to hear your opinion on why you feel it was needed. Why do you think the feminist movement was needed? And you know what? Just for today's show, I won't say for today's show. I think going forward, I will do this. If you guys watch the stage, I am going to open it up, because I want the dialogue. You know what I'm saying? Lawrence, I know you have a mic, and I know you, I don't know if you're available, but if you want to come to the stage, Lawrence, I think you have an opinion we would love to hear, is why you believe the feminist movement was needed. Yeah, he said the man goes off and gets a beer, everything not to go in the house. I'm not living like that at all. What did Keith say? Keith on Instagram says, I think in anywhere you create oppression or inequality, you create extremes. I think there's a balance where things will settle once there's equal treatment. I like that opinion, but listen, Keith, if you get over on TikTok, I'd love to have you on stage as well, because I think that the conversation needs to be had about, the effects of it. Let me see who we got wanting to come up. There we go. I got Lawrence coming onto the stage right now. What up, Lawrence? Hey, how are you? I'm doing well. You know what? You guys, I made one mistake. Let me see if I can fix it really quickly. Because I would hate for this to be an issue. Let me see. Let's see now. Yeah, I can hear you fine. I can hear you great. I mismanaged something. Let me do this on TikTok. I will start the live over. I just need to jump off of it and jump it right back on. So give me 1 second on TikTok, y'all. Stay tuned. Y'all see me when I go back live in a second. Let me just fix this. Yeah, so I started the live without putting everything in perspective in terms of how I wanted to, plug everything up and whatnot. Just moving fast, you know what I'm saying? Just being tired. If you guys want to join me on Instagram or on Instagram. If you guys on Instagram want to join me on TikTok or on YouTube, feel free to do that. I think that might make for a better experience, and the opportunity for you to join me on stage, join me live right now is available for you if you join me on TikTok. It is 9:17, Monday, the 12th of December, 52 degrees here in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm your host with the most like butter on your breakfast toast. This is
Have a bite to eat with me, Dwight Scrap Reynolds.
There we go.
Let's go.
All right. As I wait for everybody to join back in, I had a little a misstep, and so I wanted to make sure I fixed that misstep before we got too far down the road, because some of the information will be available on the podcast. I'm not worried about that, but the continuity I want to have was a little broken. So for those who are joining me now, for those of you who are returning and joining me now, I'll bring you up in 1 second, Lawrence. Give me 1 second. All right, back to basics. I see you read my soul. There you go. Yeah. So I've opened it up. I'm making it available. Guess that's why I keep my own money, my own account, but I never care. Woo, that you saying a mouthful with that. You know what I'm saying? There you go, Keith. All right. That's what's up. I don't know so here's the only challenge with some of you. I don't know if you guys have enough followers to go live with me on TikTok. That might be the only challenge, but at least we could direct the conversation in one space. Let me see. All right, so that movement did help, but there are also extremists tend to take it too far. I agree. So for those who are just joining, let me just kind of pedal a little bit, because some people don't know what the feminist movement is. Some people are unaware as to what it is. So let me just break it down. It says the feminist movement, also known as the women's movement or feminism, refers to a series of social movements and political campaigns for radical and liberal reforms on women's issues created by the inequality between men and women. Such issues are women's liberation, reproductive rights, domestic violence, maternity leave, equal pay, women's suffrage, sexual harassment, and sexual violence. The movement's priorities have expanded since it began in the 1800s and vary among nations and communities. Priorities range from opposition to female genital mutilation in one country to opposition to the glass ceiling in another. So that is one of the challenges that we're dealing with. What up, Amran? Yep. What up, Wahida? If you guys want to have the better experience, join me on either YouTube, which is I See Green 1, or join me. I See Reed. There we go. Or just join me on TikTok. But yeah, so the we heard a couple comments before I had to go to like a semi-commercial break about, guys would come home and they'll sit in the car before they walk in the house, or the different extremes that is taken. And so one of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation is because we don't attribute the way that we interact with one another based off of this quote unquote extreme movement. Even in the definition, it said extreme movement. You know what I mean? So they're going above and beyond. What up, Chef? Excuse me. Y'all heard Chef Ro's music, man. Chef Ro has that amazing single out right now, Heart Needs a Home. Make sure y'all follow him. What up, Santos Claudine? So we are interacting with one another, and a lot of our interaction has been fueled by, this movement, you know what I mean, about women's rights. And the challenge is, how does that work globally now? How does, us expanding these, I won't say rights, just these ways that we move around, when at one point you know, at one point the system worked for the family. How do y'all feel about that? How do y'all feel knowing that, you know, in when you change the natural order of things, yeah, Yakini, I hate it too. You know what I'm saying? When you change the natural order of things, and you keep going down the same road, this is why it's important that you tailor make your relationships, you tailor make your lives. It's important that you do that because of the main reason is this. Because people say you can do it doesn't mean you should. Because people say you should do it doesn't mean you should. In an instance when Amethyst, you said there's an echo. Does anybody else hear an echo? I don't hear an echo. Does anybody else hear an echo? But they say, you know, the dynamic has changed in the house. Let's start there. Let's start with the let's end with that, because that's such a dynamic, that's such a big crux of all these things. But let's go here, man. The real boost that it got, a lot of men have caused this problem, and that's why what I wanted to engage, and that's why I was like, yo, y'all, I need more dudes to be on these lives. So what up, Chris Cavs? What up, D-Clax? I need more guys to be a part of this conversation, because they're the reason. Yep, Amethyst, go completely out of the app and then come back in, and they'll let you join without an echo. We have been so complicit, Chris, you know what I'm saying? We've been so complicit in how this thing works. And welfare, let me write that down. Welfare is a byproduct of it, byproduct of feminism, right? The government decided that they would step in and assist women on being independent. You know what I mean? About being independent, Shai said you definitely have to make adjustments in relationships because the upbringing is different. Absolutely. But when we talk about that in terms of feminism, right? You understand that it was designed to do exactly what it's done, which is emasculate the man and then and emasculate the woman in terms of duties. And when I think about this, right, and I always like to equate things to the way nature is set up, the way God set things up with nature. I've never seen a lion want to be a lioness and vice versa. You know what I mean? When you look at the landscape of or the quote unquote the natural order of things. Yeah, Wiggs said scrap cooking early today. Yeah, man, we're getting to it. When you see the natural order of things, we're the only ones who have remixed that. And we have our foot on the gas and we don't stop, even though we see like, yo, it's not working. Like when we look at feminism, that means what it's shown itself to mean is the masculinity in women. If both of us are going to be masculine, you have one or two things that's going to happen. Either people are going to walk away and break away from the situation, or the emasculation of the man. Upscale guy said, then we get mad because they feel like the whole race would fall apart because brothers won't step up. Yep. Back to Basics says, it was designed to get rid of men. Chivalry is not dead, but it's fading fast. Yep. And this is, I love that Yakini. Yakini says, I don't want to do anything a man can do. I love my femininity and allowing my man to lead. Yep, Everett, what's happening? That was intended to emasculate man. Yep, some things cause a change, gives a pass. And so we're looking at, listen, and the effect of that, what up, Todd Hippie, as we look at what's going on, what up, Drake, with, as we look at what's going on with the children, right? Let me tell you how far this thing trickles down. The job is being done very well. Like that, the push for feminism has put us in a position where little boys don't want to be little boys no more. And little girls don't want to be little girls no more. Like if we dive into it, we gotta understand that some of this role reversal and then the way we work and way we move out here in society, what up, Pete, is changing the dynamic of things. And people are wondering why things aren't working. No. Some men can't lead without those who fail as a man and a father. True story. Keith said, I don't think feminism was designed to emasculate men. Some people take it to extremes. No, it was absolutely designed that way, right? Because here's the thing. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion doesn't expect the lioness to do the lion's job. That's not it. the lion steps up and does his job, and he may throw the assist, or she may assist that, and that might help. Keith said women just wanted equal treatment. We're not equal. That's the part that is challenging the whole conversation. The agenda is set to weaken the cornerstone of the role of the male. Indeed, we are not equal. A lion doesn't typically challenge a lioness, and a lioness doesn't typically challenge a lion, because the lion's mentality, the lion's strength is just different. Same thing with they hunt as an assist. They're not required to, but they don't. It's not necessary that way. You know what I'm saying? If you don't look at the way that it has affected us as a whole, then you'll say, yeah, women should be equal, but we're not. Nothing about us is equal. Like literally, only thing that is equal is that we have two eyes, but even with the two eyes, we don't see things the same. You know what I'm saying? Like, I respect the fact that you have a different perspective. I respect the fact that you're a woman. Yep. She's supposed to be my rib. See that? She's supposed to be the rib, the assist. Chef said it changed the whole framework of the family dynamic. Yep, the lion doesn't compete with the lioness. Nature knows their roles. And so because we remixed it, the way that we move forward now is compromised. And here's the thing. In giving into those things, what y'all realize is it has never stopped the arguments. It has never stopped the complaining. What I'll tell y'all is this: most heterosexual male men make decisions pretty quickly. We stand by our decisions. We're just good at we know how to knock it down, whatever it's going to be. We make those decisions. I have yet to meet a woman, although there are some women, but most women, don't decide quickly, and that's not a bad thing, and we understand that. Like, that's why guys, we like when we go shopping, what do we know? We know y'all gonna look at almost every piece of clothing on the clothing rack, and that's okay. But a guy, when he goes shopping, we know a guy, we gonna go in there, grab what we gotta get, and get the hell up out of there. You know what I mean? This is so much to type detailed responses. I know, I wish you could get on stage right now, because that would help too, because you could just talk on stage. But that's the challenge that we have, you know what I'm saying, is that people are looking to do the heavy lifting. And when you let me see if I can bring you I got it set up for guests, Keith. So let me see. You don't have I don't think you have enough followers to come up. You got to have over 1,000 followers. But we typically, because we're different, we have to accept that we're different. Sonny says, well, I'm not like most women. I make decisions quickly, been single a long time. That may be that masculine trait that you developed, you know what I'm saying? Nightmares of my life have been while shopping with my ex-girlfriend. That's funny, Clicko. Yeah, it's a thing. Like, it's a real thing. And if we, somewhere along the line, we said, all right, we'll give y'all a shot at being equal, without recognizing that that's not how life was set up and how we're supposed to be. No, you do that part over there, because if as a family, we're a circle, right? There are things that, based off of nature, based off of how we're groomed, based off of just how we're designed, I'm going to be good at. I'm naturally going to be good at certain things. What up, Philanda? I'm going to be dope at certain things. Not saying that you won't be dope at certain things, but they're going to be, and should be, a different set of things that I'm not, that I'm not dope at. What up, Jeff? Those two things help complete my circle. You know what I'm saying? You can't have a household that's flourishing if you don't have someone who's making the money and then someone who's nurturing the kids. If you don't have somebody who's maintaining the household and somebody who's maintaining the finances, that doesn't work. So we have a situation now. Jeff, we're talking about the global effects of feminism. We have a problem now because women are okay with stay-at-home men, right? But then they complain because they're doing all the work. Any guy who has been a stay-at-home either dad or just stay-at-home worker or whatever the case may be, if y'all don't understand the dynamic that comes along with that, it is painful, because you give people what they think they want. And again, we had a series on this the last week, and y'all can watch it on YouTube. But people don't know what they want. And when you give it to them, you put you and this is why men have to be stubborn and you have to stand your ground, so to speak. Like, you really got to stand in the fold. Red Baby say, I love my husband being the head and I know my role. That, on an individualistic approach, is awesome, right? Because I think that in everyone's relationship there should be that tailored response. But when it's not, when you have a woman who wants to be alpha in a relationship with a man who is alpha by nature, who decides to be beta, now you have this dynamic that is really, really the dumbest thing you ever gonna see, because she gonna wolf and do her thing and not understand the context of what she's doing, because she's outside of the boundaries of what her understanding and how she should move. You know what I'm saying? She's outside of the boundaries of that. That's not her wheelhouse. That's not what her strengths are. So now you have somebody who's driving the car who is spastic. You know what I'm saying? Who is crazy. And then you have a passenger who is logical, who is chilling, who is sitting back. But that becomes like a lack of support. It's like living in, if anybody's seen the Superman version of when Superman had an alter ego, it was called Bizarro. If y'all don't know, he was like instead of being a handsome, superhero like Superman, he was this chiseled face, real crazy monster looking dude. And he always got things screwed up. It was always backwards. Yep. Now it's an unnatural relationship like the movie Norbit. Yep. It speaks to the dynamic that we want success in relationships. We want success in business, but the problem you have, and some of you women may experience this, especially if you are career, corporate America career women. And this is why you see people like a horrible example of the dumbest thing I'm talking about is Oprah and Stedman. It's a whole name for it now. You a Stedman? What are you? Are you a Stedman? I mean, do you get it? Like, it's not a sign of, it's embarrassing for men, but one of the most highest profile black women is parading around the guy that's interested in her as a tag along. And they've made a whole thing of it. Are you a Stedman? Come on, man. What up, Pamela? Do y'all realize that? Like, do y'all realize like it's a whole thing? What up, Sassy? Letitia said, helped my spouse for about 5.5 months when he was out of work. I took care of all finances, but it makes me feel like I don't have to have you. I can do it on my own. It's not good for a man. Exactly. That's just why I can't get, that's just why they can't get athletes and they top tier type of men. The challenge is this, right? It's hard. It's getting harder. And the reason being is because our generation is the turning point of this feminist movement. Like, we're in the storm. We're in the middle of it, where we're watching, like I said, we're watching this role reversal become popular. Like, y'all have never seen, I promise you, in your lifetime, you have never seen more studs than you have seen now. You've never seen more homosexual men than you've seen now. You've never seen any of this transgender business. You hadn't seen any of that, you know what I'm saying, much until recently. And it's because there's an identity crisis. There's an identity crisis amongst families because of this feminist movement. Feminist movement was supposed to only affect women, right? But if it affects women, then you are the heartbeat of the household. So you are effectively affecting everything that comes through you. The kids, your relationship, you know what I'm saying? You are the heartbeat of this whole thing. And the challenge that we have now, what up, Shaq? The challenge that we have now is not enough, and I know Clicko will appreciate this. Not enough men are standing in the forefold so to be the examples that need to be made for the kids, and not enough women are willing to say, "I'm tripping, I am tripping. I don't even want to do this." Not even understanding that you're going to have a better existence in your relationship and in your community. Don't know dudes, listen, I love health and fitness. Y'all know that. I love health and fitness. But there's no way I want to be rubbing up against some woman who feels like me. I'm sorry. I know I'm strong and soft and sexy at the same time, but I can't put the thought around a woman who's chiseled like a dude. And when women overdo it, I know y'all talk about extremists when it comes to feminism, but there are women out there who in the face look like dudes now. Like because of how hard they've gone in the paint, you know what I'm saying? That part is the most craziest thing to me ever. If we talk about it from a physical standpoint, when we talk about these studs that are out there who are dressing like dudes, that is the most craziest thing to me. I see you, Lawrence. That's the most craziest thing to me because I do believe that they're trying to emulate men versus just saying, I ain't no man, let me just back up. You know what I'm saying? Let me just back up off that. I'm not a dude. God has designed a species that can handle that role. Why would I ever? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm kind of just helping y'all understand the perspective that's out there, right? Most men, what up, Real Chris Voice? Most men don't want a woman that's so strong that it challenges her ability to have enough submissiveness to have a smooth running relationship. I'm sorry. We should not be squaring up with chicks. Like it's studs out there that will challenge the strength of a real man. That blows me away. It's women who decided that they want to be like men or be men-ish to the point where they bucking up. And you can't, I mean, they shaving their hair down low and they looking like cute dudes. Looking like cute dudes, man. I have a problem with that. I don't know why and then there's some, listen, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Because when I start thinking about it, it just drives me wild. Like it drives me crazy to be thinking that, you know, and I like that, Everett. Sadly, most of these women have been hurt badly. True enough. And I think a lot of that, it's not what you do when things are good, Everett. It's what you do when things are bad. No, I'm not saying the studs don't go after men to bucket them. I'm not saying that. What I am saying, Poke, is this. Oh, a stud woman, should you, and if you were out and you saw a cute girl, because usually studs do like dudes. We like beautiful women. So studs, in turn, in their emulation of being like a man, likes beautiful women. So there are times where you're out and you'll see a beautiful woman and you'll see this stud or whatever and not assume, you know, in Atlanta now, you just got to assume, like, if she fly or whatever, she probably dating the chick with her. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, that's where we got into. And I understand the dynamic. And this is what I'm saying when I talk about the global effects of feminism. In Atlanta, when I first moved to Atlanta, the odds were like 17-1. 17 women to every one dude. Right? That was the odds. And it was the most crazy thing to me because, I mean, I'm gonna take this off for now and I'm gonna open it back up. When I open this back up, y'all know I'll be ready to have people on stage. But the odds were 17-1. And the reason why, right? No, I'm sorry, they were 11-1. And the reason why it was 11-1 was because of this. The community in Atlanta was changing. There were more homosexual men coming out when I first got to Atlanta. So when you have that many homosexual men, it changes the odds that there are more heterosexual women and not enough straight men to entertain them. These are the reasons why the whole down low thing and all that stuff is a thing, is because some of these men who were who were fearful of allowing their sexuality to be out front or whatnot were having a dual life. So they were trying to be masculine around women and then be emasculate or whatever their position was around other men. So the odds was 11-1. Now, the effects of that becomes this. And this is why I say we all have a dog in the fight, but we also have some of it is our fault. Yes, a lot of that in Atlanta, probably where I am too. A lot of people still in the down low. Yep. And so with that, Women said, screw that. I'd rather date another woman than to date another man. So the odds continue to flip. Like even right now, like I said, the odds right now are so crazy that when you see two women out, you cannot assume that they're just friends. You can't assume that they're not together. You can't assume. There was a time where you knew that two women together was just two women together, and you and your boy could go holler at both of them and it could be on and cracking. You just knew that. You knew that when you approached. There's a video out there. Y'all should check it out. It's hilarious as I don't know what. It's a guy. He's kind of exposing this thing. He's going around and he is acting like when he sees a bad chick, he want to holler. He's like, "Girl, hey, girl." He does the very feminine approach, like he's gay. And the girls be like, "Oh, here's my new gay bestie I'm about to have. I'm about to be best friends with this gay guy." And then when he goes to ask for the number, he changes his voice back into a heterosexual man. He's like, so the whole time, like, "Girl, I love those shoes. You look amazing in those shoes," and da 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 da. He does all that, and then when they be drawing in, he's like, "We should hang out sometime." The girls be so eager. You got to watch it. It's the most ridiculously funniest thing ever of exposing people. And they be like, "Yeah, we should hang out and da da da." And then he says, "Well, cool, yo, that's what's up. Listen, and he does it after he gets the number. After he gets the number in the phone, be like, "All right, cool. I got cool. I got your number. Why don't we do this? Why don't we go to dinner or something like that? Why don't we go and kick it and da da da?" And the girls be one Nick Cannon's like a up and coming influencer on YouTube. The girls' faces be so shook. And that's where we're at with it. Girls would rather have a gay male friend to assist. I don't know. I'm trying to understand the reason why, but I get it. They want to feel safe. And somebody mentioned earlier about being hurt. Yes, there are some guys out there who are dogs who don't understand the sensitivity of a woman in all facets, emotionally, physically, and all that, spiritually. And so you get into a situation where these guys, because of those odds, are able to treat women a certain kind of way because there's another woman right around the corner who doesn't want to be alone. So these are the effects of feminism, of how they're shifting the dynamic. We shouldn't have to be changelings. True story. I've had this comment with other women. They feel safer. Yep. More comfortable. No threat from gay men. Exactly. What up, goddess? And I understand that, right? I understand that. And that speaks back to men. That goes back to a man having to discuss or deal with how we are affecting the women in our community and how they don't feel protected by us. That's something huge that we have to work on, because it does not benefit us to be in these, to be out here and women be afraid of us, so afraid of us that they don't want to be with a masculine man. They don't want to. We should be protecting them more. That's the thing. We're not recognizing each other's. We're not recognizing these things in each other. You know what I mean? We're not recognizing that, hey, women are fearful of men nowadays because there are men out there who are abusing women. What does that they say about our reproduction of our race? Exactly. Like, I haven't even gotten into the. Again, we're talking about the global effect. Goddess Leo says masculine all day. Yeah, I think that's what you all want, and I think that in every culture you're gonna have. If you guys seen the Lion King, you're gonna have a scar, meaning somebody who's in there who's always undermining the processes. And I agree, Everett. If we're looking at the long game, right? If we're looking at the long game that is being proposed even now by the governments, they don't want. There's a level of control that's in the conversation right now. It's called population control. And if you want to affect that dynamic, then population control is easily handled by men sleeping with men and women sleeping with women. There is no reproductive process there. There is no procreation that happens. So there you go. That's how you solve it. But they've introduced it in a way, and we've all assisted in it. And that's why I'm like, yo, if y'all don't recognize your role out here in life, not only being an educator to people who are, you know, are highly influential, like kids, then you want to you have to manage things differently. Like what you allow them to watch on TV, what you allow them to see needs to be adjusted. But these are all effects of feminism. These are all and we're like I said, we're right in the thick of it, because now TV is not afraid to show relationships that don't push procreation. Kids shows are showing that same thing. In schools, they're teaching it. More of these transgender facilities for kids. Y'all heard what I said, right? Transgender facility for kids are popping up everywhere. If y'all don't know what those are, let me tell you. I read an article yesterday about a Marine. He was military. I don't know which branch. He was military, but he was touted as, you know, hey, here's this Marine who's come out as transgender. And as he came out as transgender, he was like, he was wrong, and now he's trying to undo the process, right? And his conversation about the process was this. He said what's happening is immediately, and the reason why he says coming out about it, because he wants to communicate and he needs people to understand that this is happening to kids on a regular basis. So when kids go into these doctor's offices and say they're confused or they don't know what to do and that they feel like they may be gay or all that kind of stuff, and they want to transition, he said it only takes a couple hours before they get a psychological review and they get a prescription for hormone changing pills. He said they're fast tracking the ability for kids to take these different hormones. Now, if you go somewhere and you're already confused, like here's the thing. If you go somewhere and you're like, yo, I'm already buzzing and kind of high, or I feel kind of off. What up, Bree Love? I'm kind of tripping. And then somebody gives you more drugs, or somebody gives you some alcohol or something like that, where are you going to be? You're going to be even more aloof. You're going to be more crazy. And Yakini, the reason why they're starting with the kids is because we are too smart for that. At least we're supposed to be. The reason why they're starting with the youth, and it's always been with the youth, whether y'all know it or not, there was things put in place for us to learn and do, but because there was no mass social media, because a lot of households didn't have TVs, because a lot of people didn't have outside influence, we are more connected to those things that make sense, because we did not have all this access. Right, Taushi. They got some things taking these outside idiotic things taking a heartbeat away, and then things that really matter, like a cancer screen and those kind of things, taking months to do, that are really life altering. You know what I'm saying? That really need to happen. So the challenge becomes, the roles that we have are more I don't know if the word, I'm gonna make up a word, y'all. It's called monitoring. We have to pay more attention, because what you leave on the table, they will use. Meaning, anything that you give them an opportunity to manipulate, they will. No, nobody should. Nobody should. Shannon says, I can't agree with young kids making the choice to take hormones, but therapy should be available. Yeah. Maggie said, good morning. Hey, what's up, Maggie? I just don't, for me, here's my issue, and maybe it's just my own issue. I know other people got different opinions about it, but the introduction of I've never, early on in my life, the things that we're discussing and dealing with now seem to be non-existent. And I'd like to think that I was a very aware parent. You know, I mean, not parent, but a very aware kids with some very aware parents. This is a lot. Let me see. Goddess says, but it's like always going to be a butthole. Shout out that when I was in elementary, it was doesn't do crack. It was dare kids. Yep. They only want to be assholes. It's like you. Yeah. Okay. Got that. I took my son for years before letting him on T. That's Sonny. So yeah, Sonny had. I think Sonny's son is transgender. And that's you know, that that conversation in itself, Sonny, is is a personal conversation because nobody can understand that. And the thing with Dwayne Wade, I think that the public figuring and how they're dealing with their kid is just, I think it's wrong on every level, because of, I think it's doing so much harm to have this kid out there dealing with these kind of issues when it's hard to dial these things back. Once you put those things out there, it's hard to dial them back. Maggie said they wanted my son on growth hormones, and I said no. That's exactly right. Listen, parents have to make the hard decisions to help their kids understand that, the guidance that it takes. I think that, and this is not I don't want to judge anybody. Anybody think I'm judging them or whatnot, but I do want you to understand that there's a responsibility we have to help navigate our kids, even in those decisions where they feel like, excuse me, where they feel like something else is going on within inside of them. Now, I understand that some people have taken extremes, and these other people out there who are not qualified to deal with those things, but it's happening so much where it doesn't make sense. Like, it's happening so much that you start having to question, why is this becoming a thing? You know what I mean? I've been a nanny for 20 years. Parents are too busy and disconnected from the kids' lives. And I know that's the truth. Kids spend 8 hours of their day. And this goes back to the global effects of feminism. More kids usually have spent, you would spend their time at school and then you come home to a nurturing mother. I know, guys. She said you picked a heavy topic today. It's going to be the topic of the week. But the nurturer is no longer in the house. The nurturer is no longer in the house. Do y'all understand why we're having the challenges and dilemmas that we're having? Is because the nurturer by nature is no longer present. She's too busy trying to provide and do these different things. Now, I'm not knocking that. I know you got to get money, but there has to be some balance there. Like, men are out here trying to be the nurturers and still have to be the protector. You know what I'm saying? Clicko said, I was never confused about this kind of thing growing up, and neither were my friends. True story. That's so I don't understand that either. Like I don't know how this became, like, now it's crazy because now the feminist movement, I think, has pushed things to where it's cool. Well, people think it's now it's acceptable. And at one point, I don't know if y'all, and I said this before when we had our transgender conversation, it can't be because you grew up with both parents, because I grew up with one parent, Clicko. You know what I'm saying? I grew up with one parent, and I've never had those thoughts. I understood what it was. You know what I'm saying? I understood the assignment. I was taught, maybe because I had 3 older brothers and 1 older sister, but understanding what it is, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm designed for something else. You know what I'm saying? Purposely. When we think about your role as an individual on this planet, either you're assisting in procreation, which I always understood was my job. My job was to be a boy so that I could give a girl, the love that she needs so we can raise, have other kids. Outside of that, the conversation, I know it's a strong conversation for parents who have had children who have not thought about doing that. You know what I mean? Shannon said, instead of women having a choice or opportunity to be a working parent now, it's expected to do both. And the reason being, Shannon, is because this feminist movement helped drive men out of the house, or it helped drive men out of the house. And then you were assisted with government welfare, which we kind of touched on just a little bit earlier. Government welfare helped assist a woman in having to carry those burdens, having to carry the whole load. And a woman on welfare, just so you know how diabolical it was, a woman on welfare could not have a man staying in the house. Goddess says she disagreed. How do you disagree, Goddess? Come on now. Our country has made it financially impossible for one family income. Absolutely right, Shannon. But the requirements of being on the welfare is that there is only one income. How ironic is that? It's more that the feminist movement impacting is so many other things at play. The underbelly of it is the equality measures that people want to have. It's hard for me to say that, and we all know this as well, right? The anomaly is a woman who could do everything that a man could do. David Chappelle kind of brought it up in conversation, you know what I'm saying, in one of his stand-ups. He just basically said, what if LeBron James decided to be transgender? Would that work? He said LeBron James will score 800 points a game. It's instances like these that show us where that inequality is. What a B Alpha? That'll show you that the balance is what it is. We're not designed to do, and some people are gonna disagree, but women are the brains, right? And in that, help assist the body, because the body had to do all the work. If we think about previous, years or whatever, men had to always do the heavy lifting. Women would have the good ideas, and if they were great communicators, and this is why they say, behind every man is a great woman. A woman who is great has the most amazing communicating skills, and she knows how to get what she wants. The Man Not Being in the House started when blacks got the help. True story. I'm a single parent. My daughter is disabled, and it's hard just to keep food on the table. Philanda, I can understand that. And it's unfortunate because this society and the way things have worked have set things up for that to be a normal. There are a lot of women who are dealing with single parent households. And then you see, and you can watch some of these memes, you can watch some of these, that's what's up. Sassy says she got her book. That's what's up. You can see some of these people, post on their thing, I'm doing it all on my own, That's not how we even design. We're not even designed like that. Wigs took them in, welfare took them in. Is that what you're saying? Out of the excuse is scary and childish. I push back on that, and hearing it so much coming from black men, it's harmful to send that message out. You can't push a man out of his child's life. Not out of his child's life, out of the home. There's a difference. There are several great fathers who are not in the household. If you think not being in the household doesn't, what is wigs? I don't know what that is. But men in the house, there's a difference than a man outside of the house. There's a total difference. One is a visitor, and the other one is a pillar. One is the father in the household functioning in his role and being protective and being securing the household. It's totally different than the father that comes over, picks the kids up, and takes them away from the family environment. What are you saying? That is what I'm talking about. And in the absence of a father in the house, then other men have to step up. When I was growing up, they had a program called Big Brothers Big Sisters, and my mother had enough wherewithal that when my uncles or my brother wasn't around or weren't going to be consistent because they were trying to build a life, that she got me and that's program. And it was cool. And I understood his role was to be like a big brother, you know what I'm saying? To be a manly figure in them, and to keep me, from straying off and thinking other thoughts. Shannon said, we became manly, take the fear away and give women protection, they will revert back to feminine. Yes, that is a solution to getting things back to where they were, right? And it has to start in every facet, though. You don't have enough men. Like I like the show that was on TV called Black-ish, because he addressed it from a father figure in the household and how to deal with the family. But you don't see that often in real life as much now. Now you know why mom lives with me, so we can maintain the living we're used to. We split the bills. Yep. I was brought up in a household where men provided, but now they expect to take care of them. Yep. The father in the household and present has the biggest positive impact for sure. And that's part of it, Philanda. The dynamic has changed. The dynamics have changed. And that's the part that is that's the part that has this whole thing on upside down. You have men who have bought into and accepted their role as beta in the house, or subservient in the house, or nurturer in the house, and have avoided and run away from their responsibility as provider, protector, and that example. And in doing that, you've allowed a woman who's highly emotional by nature take the reins, and now it's a hostile environment. Goddess Simone says, I have a documentary from the 70s and 80s showing that they just didn't want to be there, and they are literally are stating why. One said he was trying to become a rapper, so no program took them out of the home. Yes. So when you look at that, when I hear that, and Goddess said they just didn't want to be there, I don't think that's the case. I think that they were trying to pursue their careers. If anybody has seen the movie, and I talked about this last night briefly, Acrimony is a great example, Goddess, of what you're talking about. Acrimony. Yeah, because they don't want responsibility. Yep, this is all about the children and future. True enough. Acrimony was a TV show, a movie by Tyler Perry, and on there it showed this woman who had to support the man while he was getting on his feet. And that's where we're at, so that y'all don't get it twisted. A lot of cases now, more cases than we ever used to, is women are able to be in those positions and have developed foundations that men can't and haven't been able to establish. So yeah, sometimes men need to lean. Men now more than ever are leaning on women. In this particular movie, the man leaned on this woman. She got emotional and, triggered, and this guy had a great idea, smart guy, whatever, and she decided to leave him. In doing so, he ends up achieving his goal. The roles out here are very, very different, and if we're not paying attention to it from a psychologically, you're gonna get twisted up. Men have always had to be psychologists in relationships because we have to care about how you feel and how you move, and we have to manage that. Yep, she let the family man influence her thoughts. And it's harder to do that with men, you know what I mean? Like, we can hear our boys say something like, whatever, dude, whatever you want, that's whatever. And because, you guys, you women, I'm saying it in general, your minds are always working, your minds are always thinking, and you're second guessing and you're over analyzing things all the time. Men don't have the luxury of doing that. That's not a component we possess. Most heterosexual men do not do a lot of second guessing and trying to figure out stuff. We be like, screw it, and with the help of a great woman, we can make better decisions, so that when we say screw it, we take a better calculated risk, and the results are a lot, are better. But without that, when the roles are reversed and we got the willy-nilly, emotional person up here trying to converse and do all that, and we got to sit back and be like, but you made that decision, right? Like, you chose that, that's the challenge. Maggie says, I teach my sons how to be men. They see what I go through and they want to do better as a man. There was a thing out there that says that men who come from broken families tend to choose broken women to try to heal them for the mistreatment that they saw their mother get. I was like, wow, that's very profound and very true. Real men want to help, especially when they've grown up in a position where they weren't able to help their parents, their mother, in these single homes. Let me do a little commercial break right quick, man, because y'all tripping, man. We need to get those likes up. We need to get the shares up. You know what I'm saying? We need to participate in spending some social digital currency. What y'all heard, Sassy got her book today. This is my book, Social Digital Currency. If y'all ever want to show some support outside of the likes and the shares, then y'all can cop the book at yoursocialdigitalcurrency.com. It's going to show you how to navigate your way around social media and what it means to be who you are right now, either a person who's hosting rooms or a person who is a part of the rooms, but it shows you how to spend that social digital currency, and then maybe it might convert itself into actual digital currency. Speaking of, the digital currency that you guys can do on Instagram is badges and cash apps. On TikTok is cash apps and it's gifting, and on YouTube it is super stickers, super chats, and of course Cash App is always available. What up, Coco? Gotta say that documentary woke me up. I promise y'all, when y'all watch that, they didn't want to be there, only wanted to have sex. I'm just saying, I'm a chill now, because I know how you get. That's funny. You so crazy. She said that it's on YouTube. It's titled 1986: The Vanishing Black Family, of Special Report. Yep, mentorship is necessary. Who said that? Red Baby, absolutely. I married my husband is an old-fashioned Mexican. And that's the other part, right? The other part is this. In implementing something new, we tend to trade it for something old. Introducing feminism required destroying or getting rid of some things that worked in the past. I have a fundamental problem with that. I have a fundamental problem with taking on new things and discarding the old. And honestly, we're all guilty of it. We're all so guilty of it. And then we say years later, man, I remember this, and not realize like you had a contribution into the adjustment in where things were going. I can tell you, even when I listen to music that I've created in the past and I listen now, and I'll be like, man, I was doing some really dope things in the past. Why did I ever stop doing it? Oh, because I upgraded my equipment and that made it change, so I can't do what I did before to get the results that I got then and get the excitement. Okay, so let me start pulling back in some of those things. That's how you supposed to think, Clicko. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But because of the way technology works and because of the way things change, we all make those adjustments. You know what I mean? I will tell you that in my profession, producers like Timbaland, who still use the same MPC 3000 and stuff, producers like JD, who still use the same equipment, Dr. Dre, who still use it, they tend to, Jazzy Faye, it's a bunch of producers I know that are still using the same equipment they've used since they started. And it's a hard discipline to have, because technology will show you that, for a person who, like me, who plays different instruments, that was a thing you had to do. Nowadays, a kid can sit down with a keyboard, just like the one I have in front of me, like the alphabetical keyboard, and they can make a whole song. And so you start saying, is the process, should I take this simple process and include it, or just get away from the old processes? And that's kind of what we've been doing. The way that we nurture kids is different nowadays. The way that we interact with them is different. The schools and iPads are raising the kids, and so we indemnify ourselves from the results. Lack of attention to your kids, lack of attention to the youth, period, whether it's your kids or somebody else's, is why they go astray. They think nobody's watching. They feel like nobody's paying attention. So they're going to do that. You know what I'm saying? And the people who used to pay attention, I can tell you, my mother was the person who paid attention. When it was, and mainly it was because, she was the only one able to do that. But we had male figures in my neighborhood that were strong and showed you what a man was. You know what I'm saying? They were like really masculine men who handled their business, who took care of their wives, who were very protective, who went out and did their thing. And we don't have that as much now. Now what we have is a hybrid of that, where you have men substituting that to try to be entrepreneurs. You have men who are saying and this is not even a problem, because I think this is indicative of who we are. We're people who, when we can't make a way, we find a way. Exactly. I think we need to adjust how we do those things now. And we do have to look back. And the crazy part is, we only have, I say we have 20 years to 30 years to use the resources that remember those times and days in order for us to get it right. Our parents and our grandparents, some of us still have grandparents that are from the era of, when a man was was out there handling his business and being the provider and protector, and the wife was being the supporter and the nurturer. We absolutely have to revert back to some of those things. They call it old fashioned, but I call it worked. You know what I'm saying? I can remember we couldn't even watch TV till chores and schoolwork was done. Absolutely. There were things, listen, we have destroyed the groundwork of our households trying to balance things out. I know people were talking about equality earlier. I don't know if equality is, I don't know if we should ever look at our lives in our situation like that. I don't know if God ever really wanted us to be equal. I don't know who came up with that. I don't know anywhere where in society where the two male and female species of a particular species is equal. I don't know of one. If y'all can tell me of one, maybe I might look at it differently, but they may be equal in posture, but they are so different in mindset. I think we need to throw the equality thing out the door. I think it was the worst thing ever to say that we should move and act and deal with things as equals. That ain't how the world works. In no place is that represented. Think about it, y'all. There's a manager. There's a supervisor. There's an owner. Yeah, God ain't make women to be equal with men, and he didn't want men to be equal with women. And that's why he designed us. He said, listen, without saying a word, men and women are not equal. Why? Because without saying a word, physically, Shannon, let me just stop there. Hold on a second. Shannon said, I don't see anything wrong with equality, but expecting all women to want business and home life. And she, you know, I hate the fact that you run out of letters when you trying to get a thought out. Is wrong. Now, if you want to be a housewife, you're looked down on. And Shannon, that's because that's only looked upon when, you know, when you have the wrong man in your life. Men don't want their women out here. Y'all can see it. I don't even know why I'm explaining this. Y'all see this on a regular basis. Y'all see men, and unfortunately, it's a form of control. But men that are affluent typically want a wife who is not. And yes, it's a form of control in most instances because dudes want to control their wives because there's this, if we go back to it, we go back to the lack of trust. Yep. A scale guy is not even represented that way in nature with animals. The man rules every dynamic in the wild. Absolutely. I think women meant equal, like in housework, is just more teamwork, but some men don't do it. Excuse me, Maggie. I think that's the simplest form of it, right? I think that men in that situation say, if I go out here and I'm slaving and working 8 to 10 hours a day, that it's challenging to come home and have to manage the house in which you weren't at a job, you were in that environment and should have done it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Pearl said, my sister and I are different. She is a stay-at-home mom and I wanted a career. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? But the challenge is this. When you enter into a relationship, which one are you going to nurture? You know what I'm saying? Which one is going to mean the most to you? Is it going to be your career or is it going to be a relationship? Because they both can't hold equal ground and you're not able to balance that. That's not how we're not even designed to do that. Imagine a person whose responsibility is already set out there and they just manage their responsibility. We don't have that. We now have we now have this dynamic where it's confusing. Wait, you want me to go to work and come home and work? And it's driven men out of the household to the point where what you asked for, now you're getting it, and you got to do it all. You got to work and you got to come home and take care of the house. With men being controlling, women will want their own money. A dominant man will make sure the household is good and she doesn't feel controlled. Again, I totally agree with that, right? Great leaders lead. Yeah, we're having this conversation all week too, Jersey. We're going all week with this because I can already see this. It's necessary. Every man in the past, I would say more in the past, there were men that held other men accountable on how they led. We don't have that same structure amongst men right now to help other men navigate how to lead, let alone lead a woman, let alone lead the person that they love and care and cherish. When you have more men who don't have a backbone or a structure, there's no one to communicate with. Other men can't pull other men to the side and say, bro, what are you doing? Nah, man, don't screw this up. You got a good household. And so I'm saying when we look at this thing, scale God on a major scale, man, think about it, man. There's not the community that our forefathers had to have. See, our forefathers had to have a community growing up. Like, they had to deal with that because that was what society made it that way. That's why I go back and I say, yeah, segregation has some strengths. Segregation has some strengths. And the way that we work and communicate, the very thing that, and here's the thing, the very thing that black families are admonished for, white families took that structure and have continued it. Think about it. Even though it was supposed to be a white woman's idea to start and jump into feminism, more white women's like, you tripping. I can't have the life that I want out here doing all this stuff. I know I'm compromising his position as a man psychologically. If we talk about psychological situations, they are the ones that promote how we communicate. How you think is how you do. That's exactly right, Clicko. So the difference was this: during segregation, all you had was what was around you, and what was around you was your family. That's it. And the man did everything he could to protect his woman, except in cases where he was emasculated by the people who were subjecting them to all the BS. What up, Issy? And that was emasculating already. Think about that, man. We talked about this recently about the Kanye West situation where they were buck breaking him in the media. Well, there was buck breaking that was happening back then, and the man still had to figure out how to manage to be, have his psychology right. But it's not it's not an equal thing. You know what I mean? It's not equality to me. Is not where it's at. It's understanding our roles. I don't need to be equal with you nurturing our kids and taking care of the house. I don't need to be equal with you. That's your thing. You rock that out, baby. If it's equal, I think we're choosing the wrong word. It ain't equality, it's balance. Balance in the relationship is missing because you're not staying on your side of the seesaw. You trying to come over on my side of the seesaw. And if you do that, we can't get up. This seesaw does not balance itself. It's not equality, it's balance. Balance is missing from the household. When you only have one parent, you only get one perspective, you only get one side of it. What up, Mary? You only get one side of the conversation. Balance is the word, Clicko. All this time we've been talking about equality. And from here going forward, I'm going to try to remove that word because no things are equal in this world. No things are equal. Balance is what we want. We want balance. Think about it. And everything that maybe we complain about is balance. We don't want, listen, man, if y'all don't hear me, if the like button and the shares ain't going crazy right now, we don't want equality in anything. Listen, think about this. We need to stop using the word equality. I don't want to be equal. I want balance, because equality just puts us at the same place, but we ain't been through the same things. So why would I want to be equal with you when we haven't even gotten balance yet? When we talk about reparations, I don't want equal reparations because we ain't go through equal shit. Excuse my language. I want balance. I want the impact and the weight of what I went through to equal the impact and the weight that other people went through at the time that they went through it. So if at one point these people went through something and the impact that it had on their community was was this tragic, well, imagine my tragedy and what I went through. That was 10 times greater than theirs. I don't want to be equal to them. I want balance. Give me what that looks like. So we don't want equality in our relationships. We want balance in our relationships. If you're going to work and you're going to go out there into the world and do all that, then I'm going to balance you out with what I can do at this other part. But the effect of feminism has people working outside the scope of what they're able to do. That's part of the conversation today, is that men are taking on roles that they can't create balance with. Women are taking on roles that they can't create balance with. How is it that you have to put on this hard exterior? Listen, one thing I know about women in corporate America, what do they say? What do they call y'all? When y'all are successful, when you're a successful woman in the workplace, what do they call you? They don't call you great. They call you a bitch. And y'all call yourselves that sometimes. You know what? I got to be a bitch at this job and I got to act like a man at this job and da-da-da-da-da. You hear me? Y'all act like, or the term that you are associated with is that you got to be a bitch in the workplace. So if you got to be a bitch at the job, how easy is it for you to wipe that off when you come home? If you're really good at your job. If you're really good at your job, that's right, Issy, a boss bitch. Yep. I understand, Jersey, but you may not use it, but you better believe there's some people saying if you're good at your job, they calling you one. But more importantly, how is it, right? We all have heard of these situations where actors that are very good at their jobs have to decompress for a certain amount of time before they are back to themselves in their own households. It's because they are managing to do a role that is hard to wipe off them if they're good. So when you ladies are at your jobs and you're being man-like, or you being this boss chick and all that kind of stuff, when you come home, how are you managing to wipe that off? And that's the challenge. That's why so many career women are single, because they go hard and the struggles of their job are demands on their jobs are so crazy. And when they come home, they're unable to balance that. Click will say, I worked for corporate and heard that word from other female employees. No offense, Miss New Jersey. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. They, of course they speak on that, you know what I'm saying, together. But yeah, they aren't, because they're ruining households like a business. They aren't, because they're running households like a business. Yep. Why men always talk about women's roles? That was always interesting to hear. Well, True Mama, is because we have to associate with y'all. Like we love y'all and we care about y'all. So I have to talk about how you're managing to affect us. And that there are roles better suited for a person. Listen, I'm going to just say this. Shaquille O'Neal has a better opportunity of being a center than I do. That's his role. I'm just saying, you said it, True Mama. There are roles out there for a reason. That's why quarterbacks are quarterbacks. That's why running backs are running backs. That's why wide receivers are wide receivers. That's why centers are centers. That's why guards are guards, because they have a role to do. Kobe Bryant was dope because he just stayed in his role. We are a team, and Kobe staying in his role and Shaq playing his role created balance. They weren't equal, not by pay, not by stature, not by public respect. They weren't equal. They were balanced. What Kobe couldn't do, Shaq could, and what Shaq couldn't do, Kobe could do. That's the dynamic. That's the whole reason why they say marry your opposite. Marry your opposite, because they will fill in the gaps that you have left open. Why are so many women working as caretakers, nurses, nannies, teachers? Because, it's the nurturing in them. You know what I'm saying? True Mama said, F that, I'm a boss. I'm a franchise boss. Above, not equal. Balance, though, True Mama. You got to have balance. You're right. You shouldn't be equal, but there should be balance. Most boss chicks like your Oprah Winfrey's, in order to create her balance, has to have a Stedman. The said, yeah, I'm with Jersey on that one. I don't classify myself as that. I'm old school. You ready box when you use that word. True story. But I'm just saying that's the synonym, that's the word that's synonymous with a successful woman. This is a panel discussion, Scrap. Seriously, please open the panel back up. I will in 3 minutes. I'm gonna open the panel back up in 3 minutes. But that's the challenge for me is that, and the light bulb went off. I'm sorry. The light bulb really just went off. Equality and balance. I don't want equality. Nope. Nothing equal about us. Just balance us out. Meaning find your spot that keeps us here. That's really it. Like if y'all are not finding your spot, hey Savannah, I see you subscribed. That's what's up. Shout out Savannah for putting that subscription on. Hey. Yeah. Everybody has their role. If you don't know what your role is, you're creating an imbalance. Bottom line. When you come and you conflict the roles, you're creating an imbalance. If you don't know your role, you are creating an imbalance. No. Shannon, that's how you get to centering for your balance. We start off on opposite ends though, because we are not raised the same and our mentalities aren't the same. So you have to start apart. No two people start like this in the middle. I don't know your history. You don't know my history. None of that. We're on each other side, balancing it and walking it in, baby. And walking it in. And that scale is going to teeter sometimes because somebody going to want to do something the other person's supposed to be doing. But you start as opposites. At least great combinations do. They start on opposite sides. And as you move forward, the balance is kept when you start filling in the gaps for each other and understanding that we're not competing with each other, but we're assisting each other. Yep. True story. Reddy said, is the role based on communication in the relationship or is it based on social norms? It's based on creating balance, whichever of those combinations make that works. Imbalance for whom? The man has to establish his role for us to trust to hold him down. The man should come into it knowing his role, which is provider and protector. A woman should come into it as well, understanding her role, which is support and nurturer. And as you balance, some of that may, bleed over just a little bit, but it's only bleeding over to create balance. Shannon said, okay, let me do this because I know Jersey looking at the clock, and if I don't open this panel up, if I don't open this up for a little discussion, it's gonna be hell to pay. Listen, while Jersey comes to the stage and others, I think Lawrence is still in the room. Why don't y'all hit that like button, share the live a couple times. If y'all could, if you
like to eat with me, the White Scrap Reynolds.
If you're going to, now's a good time to support the live by appreciating my time with either gifts or cash apps or anything like that. Make sure y'all are supporting the live. I appreciate y'all time. Please appreciate mine. I'm opening up the stage. I want to have a couple other people come up and communicate. Let's talk about this thing, balance and equality. Jersey, come on up. If you want to come up, hit the guest button, but I want to hear that conversation. Balance and equality, Jersey.
I couldn't hear what you said, Scrap. I'm sorry.
Wait a minute. Hold on 1 second, Jersey. Hold on. There you go.
Okay. You said if you want to come to the stage, what now?
No, I just want to listen. What's your take on balance and equality? Which one is more important to you?
So I'm going to say this. I love the fact that you said the balance because I think that really does level set everything, right? I want to add a couple of points to it because I think that this is a great conversation, but we need to take it up just one level, and I've been, not only listening to this one, but when I do an assessment, of course, like really what has happened with us as women, being able to be classified as modern and all this other stuff that goes along with it. As I shared with you, yes, I am a C-level executive responsible for technology. That alone within itself is when I tell you, you have no idea how much stress that has along with it. So let's stop and let's unpack that piece. You also know I'm ex-military. One of the things that happened years and years ago when I was in the military, I always wanted to be able to break up the momentum, because what I work on, whether I'm in the military or whether I'm in my corporate job, has nothing to do with my home. My home is where harmony lives. Okay. Having said that, one of the things that I think, when we go back to this balance piece, which I think is, again, such an appropriate, accurate word and view. One of the things that we have to really encourage, and we all have to take accountability for it, whether it's male or female. A man is the CEO of the home, okay? If he's the CEO of the home, he can't lead without a vision or mission, okay? When you have a mission and a vision, you then know exactly where you're going. You know which roles that you're hiring for. You know, hey, you know what? I'm working as a bricklayer. I'm doing X, Y, and Z. I want to be an entertainer. I want to do this and this and this. Or at least you know what it is that you want, right? I think that we all get distracted because we don't know how to ask the right questions when we're dating. I don't think that, even if, as let's say someone like me, I date someone who he may not have thought about it. Oh, I didn't think about it. I need to put together, really think about what exactly is it that I really do. I'm a woman of a certain age. I'm not going to keep telling my age. But I'm a woman of a certain age. So there are certain things that, in each phase in life, you're going to have the opportunity to say, what is your vision and mission, right? When you retire, what does retirement look like for you? What does the next 5 to 10 to 15 years look like for you? Those are the things that if he has not thought about that, we as women should be accountable enough to ask him those questions. And if you can't ask the questions, why are you wasting the time, right? They're the piece that goes along with it. I think that I heard a lot of, great information, including but not limited to, this is the piece. And I'm going to keep it just group it kind of really lightly corporate.
All right.
You have to have a scope. You need to have a target. So if you have a mission, right, and you know exactly what it is you want, it's not going to happen overnight, right? As the male, to be empowered, and this is one of the reasons I don't like to tell people what I do, because the moment that the man hears it, he goes and it becomes an immediate defense and a competition, because that's not what it is. I've been in technology since I was 10.
It's a long
and I'm
time.
a woman of a certain age. So don't get mad at me because my career took me to where there's a financial component that comes along with it. Let me just put this in real talk. I don't want to manage and run my home when I get here. Do you understand that? I want to be able to say, babe, what you want for dinner? What we doing tonight? I want to be in the passenger side. Our sister is tired. Do you understand me? And nobody want to do all that.
Okay, hold that hold that thought right there. Because that's one of the dynamics that we talk about when we talk about the effects of feminism, right?
Yes.
Because you are because you are high level corporate America, and you have the responsibility of going out and creating that income, then the challenge becomes who's going to do the other part, right? You can't, like you said, you don't want to come home and have to do none of that stuff. You want to come home and be supported. And supported in terms of you don't want to have to come home, cook, clean, and do the things that are necessary to take care of the household.
Oh, I love that question.
Right? Am I right though? Go ahead.
Those things have to be done, right? So how about, again, the target is the household duties have to be done. Whether I do it or whether I pay for it to get done, guess what? You get it done.
So that, okay, so I think that aspect of it, when it comes to that part of taking care of the home, is absolutely the perfect answer. In those situations where it's out of the wheelhouse of a man, like I'm not saying that men aren't clean and that we don't like to do that, but paying someone to do it, ready, Trav, that does it, right? Offload the work, you get the assistance.
Yes.
Now here's the other side of it, because this is the more important side of it that has to go along with that dynamic.
Okay.
When it comes to your kids, what happens then?
So watch this. This is getting ready to be the whole bombshell.
Let's do it.
I don't have them. I'm divorced. Right?
Right.
So now I'm going to go back to when I was married. My ex-husband was military and I wasn't. I was in undergraduate school. My ex-husband was, when I tell you I met him when I was 19. We got married when we were 24. He was focused. He was the most dynamic leader, and he knew where he was going. That's why I'm so adamant about that piece.
Mm-hmm.
And it gave me the opportunity to rest in what I needed to do to support him. The only reason I don't have kids is because we got divorced.
Right.
And I refuse to bring a life into this world without having that two-parent dynamic.
I love it.
Right. So having said that, he and I literally, when we got married, we sat at 24. He said, I don't want to have kids until we turn 30. I'm cool with that. So what are we going to do between now and then? This was me asking him, and he had it laid out. That's at 24.
Right.
So we already talked about, he said, I only want one. Cool, one and done. But this is the part that went along with that dynamic.
Right.
So had I gotten remarried, what would have happened is my children or my child would have been the priority. Because guess what? At the end of the day, the way that I see it, my children, that's how my parents did me.
Okay, wait though.
Not my mom. Let me just be realistic. My mom and my grandparents, there was nothing to play with.
Okay, so Jersey, tell me. So in plain terms, what happens in that dynamic where where kids are present? What happens with that in terms of who's nurturing and what's the role at that point?
It's that same balanced conversation, right? If it's, who goes to work earlier? Is it you go early, I go early? Or is it that we say before we have kids, let's really understand what's going to keep one parent from not being home? If that's what the decision is going to be, again, I'm looking at the CEO to say, you know what, I want you to, because I feel like you would be the better structured person to actually run what we need to have for a play,
right? The
strategy, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. Tell me, I'm good with that. I'm Gucci with that. Okay. So guess what we're going to have to do? Let's put an inventory, and this is something I learned from my marriage, an inventory of all the outstanding bills. Let's knock those out. Once we're debt free, then we live within his means. We don't have to live within because that's another thing that we don't do. We don't have financial literacy to actually understand that just because you make over $500,000 a year between two people don't mean that you need to extend your career out that long, because guess what? You become overextended, and then guess what? That's stress. That's, to your point, that takes away from the children.
Absolutely.
So somebody has to take on that leadership, and we're looking, and when we say somebody, let's just be honest, to not emasculate. And that's been my biggest thing. My philosophy is it's me and you against the world, and I'll never emasculate a man. I walked away from many of them. They were, no, you do it. I'm like, no, we're not doing it.
That's an important position to take, because the challenges that are out there that again, sometimes we ask for something and not realize what we're actually asking for. When you ask a man to emasculate himself and take on a position that he's not naturally used to doing, you're getting less of the man. Like
Absolutely.
he becomes diminished, and though
Yes.
and so the experience that happens with the kids, unless he, it's just a challenging time for anyone to have to do it. Not saying it can't be done. It's just it is a challenging experience, because what you do run into is, at this point now, the two people are moving and managing in positions outside of the scope of their natural abilities,
Mm-hmm.
and you have a diminished female, diminished woman in the house and diminished man in the house, because they're wearing these different, capes that they were never meant to wear, and so
Mm-hmm.
so that trickles down to everybody else. So instead of having a nurturing mother, they have a and not to use this term, but a military like parent, somebody who's stern, who lacks that empathy that they need. You know what I'm saying? And then you have a father who doesn't, who is, usually those two collide, because they're wearing different hats. They're out of position, and so they're going to collide. It's like watching two football players not know their routes on the field, and they run into each other. That's going to happen more often. Not saying that, and to Shannon's point, she said there are nurturing fathers as well, and that would be balanced. It wouldn't be balanced, because that's not his natural context, Shannon. When you ask a man to manage an emasculated role, he is less than he doesn't embody the strength that he's designed to have to give to those kids naturally.
Mm-hmm.
All men possess, all women, we're watching it. Women have masculine traits, but if they're dominant masculine traits, it challenges the relationship. Same things with men. Men have nurturing capabilities, but you know what happens if you get a overly nurturing father?
Absolutely.
Is you're raising weak individuals. You know what I'm saying? So those are the things that that you have to manage and pay attention to when we do these quote unquote role reversals in seeking balance. In seeking that, and again, it all stems from that, people wanting to be equal. I just say, look, create the balance. We got Lawrence on the stage. Lawrence, talk to me, homie.
How you doing, sir? How are you? I just jumped back in. I apologize. I was shopping and I just got back home starting to cook.
Hey, man.
So I apologize.
Brother.
Is
You gotta
the subject the same?
Yep. You got to handle your business, but yeah, it's still the same.
I want to add one additional quick.
Okay.
Right. To make it even more interesting. My grandmother, my father's mother, was the one that we're talking about, literally that we're talking about now. We're talking about my grandmother. This is the one who had a master's degree, and we're talking about, she was the one that was like hit the ground. I listened to my 75-year-old father have these conversations all the time. He was like, yeah, I never really remember a home cooked meal after my grandmother passed away, after his grandmother passed away, because his mother was so focused on working. Mm-hmm. I'm listening at this from one side of my lineage, which is the African American side. Then I have the Native American side, where I look at my other grandparents. My grandfather, Choctaw, my grandmother was Lumpy, and it was a no-brainer. My grandfather spoke, and that was it. It was done. And my grandmother fell into that natural feminine role, and it worked for the family.
That's dope.
But I saw what happened to my father, and I saw what happened to my uncle as a result of this overly ambitious woman. So this, to your point, that's why I love the word balance, because the balance really is what is required. My grandfather, my father's father, he was the nicest person in the world, but he only had a 6th grade education, right? But he was the one that I would always go to Pop, because I was scared of her. She was mean. She had no time. She wanted to do everything like yesterday.
Yep.
And I have to watch that.
Yeah.
And so that's why, to your point, it is a balance. And this is my opinion. I think you need to take an assessment of look at what you've seen growing up, whether it's your parents, whether it's your grandparents, and think about what worked.
Yeah.
And really what worked. My grandmother cooked. My grandfather went to work at 4:00 in the morning. Guess who was up cooking? My grandmother.
That's right.
Because he was not leaving with the, because I don't even think McDonald's was around during that time, but it was, he had a full entire, meal. That was her thing.
Mm-hmm. It was necessary. You know what I'm saying?
It absolutely was.
It's necessary. Maggie said, man, I'm going to tell everybody about balance because that's what we want, not equality. And that's a bite to eat.
I agree with that.
Lawrence,
I agree with you.
Lawrence, did you get a chance to hang out and hear some of this conversation? And welcome Ruby to the stage. What's up, Ruby?
I had, I was in and out. I went to the post office a couple times, so I was in and out. Remember, you started off with the feminist, and then I've been hearing a little bit of it, but I didn't hear the entire segment of it.
That's all good. But I remember you saying what your statement before you left was
the for the feminists, I think that is, that was what was needed. That was needed because I'm 53 years old. So growing up, I saw things like, men thinking that they're above particular issues and they were not. And I'm as far as like being wise, because my mother was wise. And I want to say my mother was wiser than my father, but
most likely.
But in my home, my dad was supposed to be the wise one. I'm like this. And I'm not saying my dad was dumb. I'm not saying that. I love my father, but my mother was wise. And in I don't want to skip too far. I want to skipping the working environment. I understand that, like, sexual harassment that really needed to go. Because I've actually had been in some situations where I taught for a couple years, and I remember sometimes the male particular figures would say things that and what I believe to be completely wrong. Shouldn't say things like that, that was sexual towards women in the work environment.
Absolutely.
I'm like, whoa, those are no-nos. That was no-no to me. But then in that return, I've been sexually harassed. No fun. And it's not look the same when you're a man.
Absolutely.
It is not the same.
Absolutely.
So we will not complain because we're scared to complain. I don't maybe scared, but like if you complain, they'll say something like, "What you don't like women?" Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I actually been on a real rough end of that, and I did not like it at all because I never gave it, so that it bothered me. But
Lawrence, you don't have to give it, Lawrence. When you fly like you fly, Lawrence, that's what happens, man. When you come with that sauce, it's to be expected, bro. What are you saying?
And one of the greatest leaders in my life was a woman. She was a principal for the school I worked at. And I'm gonna tell you something. I followed that woman without question. She asked me to do something, I did it without question.
That's dope.
And because she was that powerful. And I'm gonna tell you that people don't like that. She was more powerful than most men I know. I mean, she's just one of those people. And I'm not saying I've met some good leaders, male leaders in my life, but she was the most powerful woman with her words, the way she carried herself.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, she would ask me to do something, and I did it without question.
That's what's up. That's a huge sign of respect. You know what I mean? And almost one of the most perfect roles, if you ever ask me, is like I remember my assistant vice principal, Miss Stram, and the presence that she carried about her as well. But when we think about education, I think it's the perfect role for a nurturing individual to be in, because to teach, you have to have a certain level of patience.
Yes.
You have to have a certain level of care and concern for the people that you're talking to. And when you're in an authoritative position like that, and to have that kind of grace that most women have when they present, you know what I'm saying? They talk to people, not sometimes most men talk at people, to get things done. You know what I'm saying? I champion those. And you always hear about the schools, for schools that have assistant principals and principals that are women. They just run differently. Like the atmosphere is different, the energy is different. And the only challenging part was the other part that you mentioned, that there are going to be some male teachers that are on the staff that have such a bravado that they can't respect the fact that this is a nurturing environment. The fact that you chose to be a teacher, you have to understand that you are outside of your wheelhouse. So you got to create balance for those individuals who are better
I'll
at
be
it,
right back.
better at it than you. Absolutely, Jules. And that's the only challenging dynamic that I've ever seen, is those, macho teachers who are undermining that nurturing, caring, and concerning atmosphere that is presented by those principals and vice principals that teach that. Yeah.
I completely agree with you. I completely agree. It was really difficult working in. I didn't have a master's degree at the time. I didn't have a master's degree, and my principal allowed me to tutor the children in this particular male's math class. He had a master's degree, but his teaching, like you said, he was at the children, not with the children, and he did not like that the principal allowed me to tutor his children while he was teaching in his classroom. He didn't like it. And in my mind, finally, I don't want to say we came to blows, but I kind of had to get him to understand, like, the kids, some of these children still don't understand you. And you informing me about your master's degree has nothing to do with the children.
Right.
If that was so important, then all these children will understand your math technique, and they don't. So that was very difficult to work in the. That was one of the difficulties working in the teaching environment.
No, I can imagine. I can imagine when you present something to somebody where they should be listening and keeping their eye on the goal, which is the children, and they don't. It's very disheartening. Go ahead, Miss New Jersey.
Both of my parents were educated. My mother taught Spanish for 26 years. My father was a principal for 37. My grandmother had the master's degree, was an educator for 55.
Dope.
Oh, wow.
And everything that you said was absolutely spot on, completely.
That's what's up.
One of the things that would really always concern me, my father went from this PE kind of education, that teaching, but that was like short-lived because he had to be in control. So it was immediately go through that administration, and he was an assistant vice principal and then became the principal.
Yeah.
And my mother just kind of, even though she had, and this is what's interesting, and this is why I'm making this point, even though she had the ability and had the supervision and supervision and administration certification, she chose not to go down the path of the principal. And I'm going to tell you, I believe it was because it would have been in direct conflict with my father.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Absolutely.
And that's why I say, when I look at going back, we were talking about you need to look at what you saw growing up. One of the things that you have to do is say, okay, what made this work, or what didn't make it work? Not that you have to be them. You have to look at that as a roadmap, right? Because this is who you are. Understanding, knowing who you are. I'm going to use the workplace terminology, your current state of you as a person, holistically, point blank, period. Knowing your spirit, your mind, your body, your soul, and what drives you, and your passion.
Your mom
I'm a silly person. I love to laugh. I love to nurture, but I hate when I have to be, I guess you want to call it that, boss.
We're just gonna say stern when you have to be stern.
Yeah. When I have to be stern, my staff knows. I don't even like calling it staff. I call them team.
Yeah.
Right. But they know if I go there,
Exactly.
I'm always team them, and then we behind closed doors. You do know that this is crazy,
Right.
And to break it down, and that's why they love me and respect me so much. But again, I leave that at work. You can't bring that. You can't marry that to your relationship, and you have to. And that's why I said you asked an excellent question earlier, Scrap. Which becomes the priority? Can you? Do I think that I could be and continue to be a CIO? You're 53, I'm 54. And continue and get remarried again? Absolutely not. And that wouldn't be an objective of mine. My goal would be, hey, I'm going to retire, transition into this consulting role. And then we can, that's hey, we're going to do 6 months, 3 months. whatever's necessary. But I need to know what you think retirement looks like. And if
Yeah.
it works for me, then I get in the car and I ride with you.
I like that.
You know what? And that's, you know what? I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No,
you
you're
know,
covered.
that's what it takes. And that's what a great leader is.
Mm-hmm.
That's what defines you. You don't define it. That is the difference. Just saying.
Oh,
I
completely
was
agree.
trying not to cut you off. I had to shut it off because my nurse came in. I'm in the hospital.
Oh,
I
man.
have MS. I
Oh,
have multiple lesions on my brain and my spine. Thank you for letting me come up. But this is what I wanted to say. My grandmother taught me, my Nini taught me, you know, a great leader knows when to speak and when not to,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's what defines us, you know, and I'm just like you in the corporate world, baby. In every facet that I've ever led in, and this is what I wanted to say. I'm in the same room I've been in for 12 years. I've been here 4 times. They couldn't find any of my stuff. It had all been archived. But Jesus is the answer. You hear me? And this is what I've told my children. If you serve him and put him first, he's going to come first. You hear me? And he's going to come back full service in every aspect that you do. And that's what makes you a great leader. You have to serve first. You see?
absolutely.
And that's what makes it great. And just what you're talking about.
Well,
You
with that,
know?
That's right.
with,
And
with,
that's what it takes.
with that in mind, y'all hold for 1 second. You know, it's been a practice, right? Like when any individual, especially when we do these lives, is communicating, you know, that they're dealing with something. I think it's important that we stop and acknowledge that, and we all, you know, we all understand that we have no control over it. But I'm just gonna tell anybody who's listening, anybody who's watching right now, just close your eyes or whatnot, and just dear Lord and Heavenly Father, we come to you right now asking you to put your healing and angels around Ruby right now. We don't know what the purpose is or what the cause is. We know you've given her a testimony to have, just being on our stage tonight, but just giving her a testimony to communicate about what's going on with her so that the angels can step in, that we all that are within earshot of her conversation right now can lend to her the strength, the unity to show her that we're with her, and that we know you say that when 2 people are together and they agree, that your will be done. So we're agreeing right now that you're going to fix this for her, Lord. Whatever the situation is, whatever they don't understand, you're going to give them the understanding. Whatever has to be done, you're going to make sure that happens, Lord Jesus. She may have been dealing with it for 12 years, but we're going to claim that curving of the situation is going to happen ASAP with your will being done. And we thank you right now as people who are watching this miracle happen, or people that are in tune with this miracle as you present it, Lord. We just want to say thank you in advance, and continue blessings. We give you all the praise and the glory. And for everyone that's in this room, I pray healing over your bodies and your minds and your hearts, that whatever you're dealing with, that you're able to see it through, that God's will be done. If you know that he is leading the way, then that you can have comfort, strength, and move forward and be a testimony for your family and for those that know you and love you. They all extend their hands and their hearts to you right now in your healing, in your presence. And we say thank you. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
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 I mean, I didn't mean to take it over. I was just giving God the glory. And you know what? That's what I was saying.
Well, no, it's
Is
necessary.
that, you know, if you always put him first and foremost, this is what I'm saying, in every facet, this is what I've always told my children. You always put him first and foremost. And if you serve him and put him that way, it's amazing how God comes first. And it's amazing. When I've been here, this is what I'm saying. I've had the same doctors, the same housekeepers, every person that has been here, I've had again. It's been amazing. When do you get that? The same room.
Right.
That's just God on the throne, y'all. Did you know that this chaplain that came to pray for me, he goes, Miss Herrera, what are you doing here? Check this out. I served him at El Chico when I was serving him at a table.
Wow.
And people are like, he can't tip. I said, no, I'm going to serve him because I see the zeal of the Lord over him. Don't you see the glow? And they looked at me like, no. I said, that's what's wrong with y'all. Y'all should be ashamed of y'allself. And they looked at me and they're like, something's wrong with you. I said, oh, no, I have what's right. Check it out. So when they came to pray for me, do you know this is what I get excited about? Because I got my disability in 12 minutes, y'all, which is unheard of.
Yep.
They found all my records from 2003, y'all,
That's
in
awesome.
California that was archived and hidden. That's what I'm talking about. Then the next day, the next chaplain came. I pulled up my stuff. He goes, hold on. What you're pulling up, you pull up your thing, I'll pull up mine. Do y'all know we was friends on Facebook? I had served him at El Chico too.
That's funny.
And what was beautiful about it, to all the housekeepers in the respiratory, they all knew me. They come up because all my kids had been here laying on the floors and stuff. They remembered all my kids because they was respectful.
That's beautiful.
And then my daughter was praying for friends because all my kids are special needs, right? And the lady goes, is that your daughter, Eddie, on out in the hallway? I said, yes. She goes, we've been trying to meet for a long time. And I said, I know. I go, well, we don't do any drugs or drinking. She goes, ma'am, I already know. I said, I'm sorry, we've been trying to meet for a while because I'm old school, y'all. I won't let my kids go, spend the night or nothing until we meet. You know how that is,
No,
right?
absolutely.
And so I told my daughter, be patient, honey. You'll meet a friend. So she said, okay, they can spend the night. And so now she has a little friend. Isn't that cute how it went? Now check it out. The doctor, okay, he looked at me, he goes, oh, you're that lady. I said, yes. She goes, you're the lady that started that group in the band. You get up and sing with the elderly, and you give out those Christmas ornaments at Christmas and bake all the goodness and stuff that was the boss for corporate, and would hand out all the baked goods at Christmas and the ornaments to the elderly, and would sing and started that band over there for the elderly. I said yes, and they would meet 4 times a month. I said yes. We know exactly who you are, Miss Herrera. See, when you start things in the community, it's amazing how it all come back, y'all.
Nah, listen,
See?
Ruby, I can hear how you sewn into the community just based off of the fact that the chaplain and the how God has blessed you to be in a position where you're surrounded by people who know you, who are familiar with you, who love you, and it's based off of your giving to the community. So that in itself is commendable. I'm gonna give you a round of applause right quick.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take over, y'all.
No, you did. You're okay.
I just wanted my kids to see that, if you soar back and, you put that back. And here was the blessing. This lady come back in dietary, right? And she brought her 2 cheerleaders back, and they were handing out snacks. And she came back, and I said, you know what, baby, when you brought your daughters here, do you know the seeds that you sown are going to come back to fruition? I said, I've always brought my kids back, and I've always had them sow back into the beauty. I said, it's so imperative and important because you know what? The seeds that you've sown are going to come back. And she goes, I needed to hear that. I said, baby, it's so important. I said, it touched my heart. And she saw the tears come down my face of joy. I said, bless your heart. The Lord, may he bless you richly. And I said, can I pray with you? And I prayed with her. It was such a blessing. It touched my heart so much.
Well, it more than just
a phenomenal lady. I'll say that everything that she talks about is a part of what femininity. To bring it back to what Scrap was talking about. If you listen to everything that Miss Ruby referenced, having the ability to really feel with feminine emotions and experience life with feminine emotions. Not so much as, on this, masculine side that brought forth a different type of response. And I think that, going back to what you originally were talking about earlier, Scrap, in reference to kind of really the dynamics when we look at what exactly is it in our role. I'll say for us as women, because literally what Miss Ruby just said, I know one thing that I love being a servant leader. I can't micromanage. It drives me bananas. I tell my team all the time, if I have to ask for access to that dev box, somebody's in trouble. And they're like, and I mean it because I trust them. To me, I'm empowering you to do your job.
Right.
I've been micromanaged when I was growing my career. I don't believe that it breeds an opportunity for teamwork. So if we're looking at what really works, I'll say for me as a woman, and literally what Miss Ruby was
said. Yep.
right? We're looking at
Yes.
C-level executive, and we're looking at two women, the consistent across the board with the servant leadership, right? The masculine leadership role, and this is how I look at it. If we're in the car, and of course I love this car reference. That's my thing. As long as you're driving the car with a purpose, you're not on the turnpike just rolling and we're going back and forth from exit 1 to exit 18, constantly back and forth, and that's a New Jersey thing. But, and you have a destiny, I'm good with being in the passenger side or even in the back seat until you say, babe, I'm tired. I need for you to drive. That's the partnership. You say, I'm tired, but can I get a couple of, I got you, pull over.
Right.
And we're there. I want you to have the car back because see what I'm not trying to do, I'm not driving this all day. I drove all of this the rest of my life.
Right.
Yes.
That's the thing. We have to really own that. We have to own that as a single professional. And that's the thing that I'm saying this out loud because I really want all of my brothers that are in this chat to really hear this. Stop looking at what this woman is doing as her career. Just stop looking at it. Stop looking at that piece. You need to look at what she is as a woman. Is she showing or has she mentioned anything about, you know what, my job, I call mine my corporate hustle, point blank, period.
We hustle what we have to do.
Exactly, that's my corporate hustle. I will, the moment, and I get migraines, the moment that my migraines overpower, thank you very much.
We be feeling it. We be like, oh, really? Yeah, for real.
And they can have it. Do you understand that? So that means that's where the interesting part is. That's the dynamic. And I wanted to make sure that I conveyed that because I think that we as people, as we've grown, we've done two things wrong. We look at the combination of the two salaries and say we must live within both of those means, which means that it removes the opportunity for the man to have a support system, which we were designed for in accordance to Genesis. The woman is supposed to support your rib. We are your rib and support your internal organs, including your heart.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad someone understands that dynamic because
Absolutely.
it was hard, And the thing is, too, when I worked in the infrastructure, when I did, a lot of the people were just lazy and they didn't want to take up the dynamics, that they needed to. So when I worked, there was all this strife with everybody. So when I worked in the kitchen, when I was working, I was trying to get the people to come together, right? So then I prayed about it and I was like, Lord, what will you have me do? So I was like, then the Lord spoke to my heart. I fasted and I prayed about it. Lord's like, you need to break bread. I was like, I need to break bread. So I went and I got the old bread, right? And then I would go buy potatoes and bacon and stuff for breakfast. Lord showed me they were starving. I'm like, but I'm working in a Mexican restaurant. And he's like, they're sick of the old same stuff. I was like, okay, so I know I was executive chef. So I took my strengths and I put them to use. So I went back there in the kitchen and I went and I made breakfast for everybody. And then I went and I got the Mexican people, because I spoke fluent Spanish, and I got the servers to come together. And I got everybody to come together with food, because think about it, everybody loves food, right? They're going to come together, and I made chorizo burritos. And then I put out the pan, the day-old breads and stuff, the Mexican breads. And everybody came together, and then I got chicken, the Tyson chickens, and I would fry chicken, but soul food, you know what I mean? I started bringing people together with soul food. And with the food and, the banquets and stuff, people come together and we broke bread together. And it was amazing. And that just quenched that whole problem.
Well, I'm hoping
that whole infrastructure changed the dynamics.
I'm hoping, Ruby,
we're talking about, sis.
Ruby, I'm hoping
it changed it.
I'm hoping that the conversation that we're having today, regarding, the global effect of feminism, which we're going to be talking about all week on
Have a bite to eat with me, Dwight Scrap Reynolds.
We're going to be having this conversation every day this week because, I knew it was something that we couldn't just touch and go on. I knew it's something that's deep-seated.
I'm so thankful for you, brother. I love you. And, I always love hearing you and your moments. And sister and brother, I'm so excited for y'all. I'm just excited.
That's what's up.
Thank you for bringing me in here.
Yeah, just tune in every day. I think I'll start the show off with a conversation for about an hour, and then we'll go into the panel for the second half of the hour, because we only did it for like 45 minutes tonight, but I know today, that we're going to need to spend a little bit more time doing that, because there's so many conversations intertwined in understanding the global effects of femininity. We only touched on a few of them on the stage, but I want to introduce a very direct conversation about it, because I believe that once we start having these conversations, that of course these conversations aren't meant to just be on TikTok. They're not just meant to be on Instagram and YouTube. They're meant to be carried out into the community, because the people that you know and love need to hear the conversation about how we need to have balance. I think one of the breakthroughs today, at least one of the breakthroughs for me today was balance. And in our having these discussions, these epiphanies that we have to carry them with us, because we all, I think collectively, we all thought about things from this perspective. Yes, we need equality, we need equality, we need equality. And equality undermines balance, and we need balance. We don't want to be equal because we don't share the same experiences. What we need is the balance to move us forward so that we can navigate our way through. And there's nothing worse than being in an unbalanced situation. And I think another key point to talk that we'll talk about even more so is, our for some reason we have this need to run away from having roles. Like nobody wants to be established as a role player, for that matter. That we all have a role, not only in business, but in our relationships, but in our friendships. People know, say Scrap is going to be the one who kind of makes sure we talk sense about certain things. He ain't going to let us go willy-nilly. That's my role when I'm around my friends. My role is I don't drink a lot. So even my role is as simple as being the designated driver at times, but I know I have a role. I know I'm the guy that they're gonna say Scrap don't smoke, so don't offer him nothing. If anybody gonna talk sense into us, it's gonna be Scrap. If anybody's gonna be this, I know my role, and I'm not adverse to it. And I think that when you have these situations where the lines are blurred and nobody knows their roles, you're going to invite conflict into whatever situation, whether it's business, relationship, friendships, or whatever. If all of a sudden the person who's always known to be loud and funny in your group starts taking on another role, you like, yo, that ain't what you known for, bro. Like, what are you doing? Like you stepping on his role, which is, we always go to him for that. Now you are unqualified, and are creating an imbalance in the relationships that we have. Same thing goes for, for having to expand our roles in order to create balance. So we'll talk about those things as we move forward, talking about, the global effects of feminism.
What time, hun? What time, Scrap?
So,
Have a bite to eat with me, Dwight Scrap Reynolds.
The Bite to Eat podcast is every day.
That's my guy. I love him, man.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
No, it's all good. It's every day.
I feel bad. I'm sorry.
No, don't feel bad. Listen, we're going to get it together. It's every day from 9 to 11, but of course the time it sometimes extends over a little bit past 11 or whatnot, depending on the discussion and depending on
That's okay. Just so I know what time to be here or be square.
Yep, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Everybody come in with the spirit of giving, meaning give up those likes, give up those shares. Don't get so comfortable with the conversation that y'all not participating in the social digital currency. Should you feel as though you had a great conversation that you were spoke to today, or you feel compelled to, there's a Cash App, there's a gifting. And not only for me, but if y'all notice, the panelists all have opportunities for you to gift to them as well. Make sure you tap in on them for their participation and their information when they get on these stages. It's showing that you appreciate their time. It shows that you appreciate their knowledge and their information when they get on stage. It's not required, but it's appreciated. With that being said, you guys,
I thank you for letting me on
hold
and
on,
letting
Ruby,
me
Ruby,
speak,
hold on
y'all.
one second, Ruby. I'm gonna give each one of you 1 minute to wrap up your to shout out anybody or to just say the last words. Each one of you 1 minute, and I'll
take it first.
Yeah.
So first of all, of course, we always want to give honor and glory to God. Not that we're accepting an honor or an award or anything, but I think that that's extremely important, because the next component that I want to also say is, Scrap, you always step up and you shine like the true leader that I know that you are. When I first came onto your show and connected with you from the live perspective, when you broke down and you prayed, that to me was total leadership. And you know what? That is something that I think that our community is absolutely missing. People are afraid to take that, I see you saw something that was missing, whether it was an ask, it was your spirit, it was strong enough, you led and you did exactly what was necessary. So thank you. Again, I always say this, thank you for being you, okay? The next piece that I want to talk about, and I'll say this really quickly, is I want us as a people of color to always put the Lord first. The second component is really take some time out and assess what's going on inside of you. If you've just come out of a relationship, take some time and get to know you before you're moving to the next one. You need to spend time with you, get to know who you are. It's not being alone, it's enjoying who you are and how you've grown. The other component that I want to say is that as women who have, evolved and grown your careers, this term modernized woman, stop looking at labels. What we need to do is we need to go back to what Scrap said is like, what is your natural, what brings you less stress in your life? What is it that you really want?
No, ma'am, thank you for everything with your beautiful eyes up, baby.
Right? If those things are aligned with where you are now, then that's fine. If they're not, then you need to figure out how to separate your work from your home. And also the last one is understand that your philosophy at home is harmony. And you need to always try to create that space that aligns with the harmonious environment for you and your others. And I'll say this stuff. It would be nice to add a topic to your list, regaining feminism, because I think that that's something that we should miss. Whether it's feminine conversation, whether it's wearing heels, whether it's putting on makeup, which I don't have on today.
I love that. I love that. Regaining femininity. Oh my gosh, I love that. Ruby, go ahead and unmic. I heard you were talking to your doctor, so I muted your microphone for a second. Go ahead and no, it's okay. Go ahead and unmute. You have to unmute. I can't unmute you, I don't think. Let me see. Yeah, I can. Go ahead. There you go. You should be able to hit that button and unmute.
It's still mute.
Sorry.
There you go.
I'm sorry. It was the lady checking on me.
Yep.
I wanted to say I give first and foremost God all the praise and glory. Thank you for letting me be here. And you know what, Scrap, I love you, man. From the minute of my heart, I praise you. And God, you know what I'm saying. And I thank you for allowing me to be on your stage. Thank you for being a good leader. We need you, man. And sis, I thank you for being the strong sister that you are. I love you. For real. And you know what? Because you know what? We have to be a servant of all if we want to be great in God's kingdom, And you and I are just alike. It's obvious. Hello.
All right.
Did you notice that from the moment? And here's the thing. I was sitting there and I was saying, and you notice the Proverbs 31 woman. You know what I'm talking about, baby. And that's how it is. We watch what we say when we speak. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And we say what we need when we need to speak it. That's it.
That's what's up.
And did you see me watch what I said when I said it?
Yeah.
It meant something. Did you see? And I love y'all. Hey, and so I'm excited because they're going to let me go to a rehab so I can get up and move and exercise. I got my disability. Jesus answered all prayers.
That's what's up.
See, your prayers work, and I get to go to rehab. I'm so excited. So that means I'll be able to go home after. I want to go before Christmas. See, I know Jesus on the main line. Tell him what you want, you know. I'm excited. Thank you for praying for me. I'm so excited, you guys.
That's what's up.
I start crying. These are joyous tears, y'all.
That's what's up. Listen, this is and has always been an emotional podcast. Hopefully it is stirring everyone up, and deep in your hearts you are gaining compassion, empathy, as well as strength and comfort, knowing that we are trying to just give you some conversation that'll change your situation. Savannah, yeah, I read your comment. She said femininity cannot be based on one type of personality. Some of the stuff we call feminine is personality. I can't wait to have that conversation across the stage. You know what I'm saying? And we'll bring that conversation as well.
And you know what I love about all of y'all? I didn't ever tell you, but we have interracial stuff in my family. And I had gone through extreme prejudice when I was here. I don't never tell nobody because people, hadn't believed me or whatever.
Yep.
And they had broke my phone, charger. And then they were treating me so bad. They had left me in, mess and everything. And then the nurse were treating me real bad. I was like, they're all, you're not. And I said, please don't start that. I said, you're going to feel bad when I call my sister Quinaya. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she just looked at me. And so I called my phone. My husband brought me a charger. And I called my sister and I said, nurse, come here. She said, what? I said, here's my sister Quinaya. She's like, I said, are you done? Do you need to see my credentials for my nursing too? That I'm an RN.
Listen, one thing.
You need to see that I'm an executive chef.
So Ruby, one thing that you'll always hear me say is this: is that you never have to prove to people who you really are. You are who you are without validation from anybody else. And
I just couldn't believe that lady was so mean to me like that, and she was treating me like that.
When people are naive, that's exactly what they'll be. So, and that may be a conversation for another time and everything. I want to thank you guys for being. I'm
sorry, brother, but it hurt me so much yesterday. It was so hurtful.
But listen, that was yesterday, and today is a new day, and you've had an awesome experience here today. So let's take that with us. You know what I'm saying? And move forward with that. Lawrence apologized.
I'm sorry, brother.
It's all good. Lawrence is apologizing. He wanted to be on the stage and have this conversation.
I love you, Lawrence.
Yeah, he wanted to have it, but his daughter called, so we're going to give him some grace. Ruby, thank you for being on the show. I want to thank my girl Jersey for always showing up and showing out. I appreciate you being on the live today. Listen, I want to thank everybody who showed up and kicked it with us and had a conversation. But y'all know, like, we do this, you know what I'm saying? This is not just for the moment, you guys. This is going to be, I enjoy the dialogue and having the different people on stage and sharing the conversation and diving in. So when y'all stay tuned, you know what I'm saying, to the podcast, y'all know this is
me, Dwight Scrap Reynolds. Let's go.
I'll see you guys tomorrow here at 9 o'clock. Y'all don't understand. It's a struggle bus for me to get up at 9 and be here, man. I appreciate everybody. Let's get two more shares just to knock it out. Now's the time if you guys feel like you've been, you had an amazing time. You can gift, you can Cash App, you can do any of that kind of stuff right now. Appreciate it. Invest in a smoothie or a salad for your boy, whatever the case may be. Whatever you want to do to exchange that social digital currency into actual currency. It will increase your social currency here on the Bite to Eat podcast. Oh, wow. Miss New Jersey, a galaxy. That's my first galaxy ever on this show. I appreciate that. That's huge, y'all. Y'all understand. There are milestones and there are different achievements on here, and I guess that's super awesome. That means I'm doing something right. You know what I mean? When people sew into you that way, and I appreciate that. If you guys are on Instagram, remember, listen, another goal that I'm pushing to achieve is that YouTube status of 3,000. It's not much, and we're not far from it, but I need your participation in order to get to that, to change that. We had an amazing conversation. I had some amazing guests with Miss Jersey, with Lawrence, and Miss Ruby. We'll entertain that more and more as we continue. I think that allowing everyone to have a conversation, a dog in a fight and a voice in this is going to help elevate the platform. So this is never goodbye to Instagram. Savannah, everybody over there, this is not goodbye. It's to be continued. I'll holler at y'all later. Replays are available on YouTube. YouTube.com /ICGREEN1. I will not be sharing it on Instagram at all. TikTok. Nothing but love for you, baby. Listen, I appreciate everybody for showing up today. Make sure you tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a friend to be here tomorrow, 9 o'clock a.m. sharp. I got it. Well, you know what? I think that's right. I got a physical tomorrow, so I believe I'm available from 9 to 11 tomorrow. Anyway, I'll get up and get ready to do that, and I'll see you guys here. Make sure you got notifications turned on, because you never know when I might pop on and continue the conversation or have a whole totally different conversation. All right? This is not goodbye, y'all. This is to be continued. And this is
Have a bite to eat with me, Dwight Scrap Reynolds. Let's go.
all right, YouTube.